Jessica Frost Ballas here with a video for lawnfawn. Today I'm creating a spooky Halloween card with a colorful light-up surprise, so let's get started. First I've stamped the pumpkin from Costume Party, the ghost bird from Fox Costume Before and Afters, the pumpkins from Happy Harvest, and the cat Cauldron and Sparkles from Perfectly Wicked onto white cardstock with Copic-friendly black ink. I color all of my images with Copic markers. I start with my lightest shade first, and then go back in and add shading with my darkest marker. Then I blend back out to my lightest shade, lengthening the shadows with each new color. I used neutral grays for the cauldron, and cool grays for the cat and ghost bird, with a touch of Y19 for the bird's beak. For the pumpkins, I use Y15, YR09, YR04, Y17, E23, and E27. For the cauldron sparkles, I use G05, Y17, and V06. After I finish coloring all the images, I die cut them with the coordinating dies. Off camera, I also stamp the Happy Halloween sentiment from Costume Party and trim the two words down to thin labels. Next, I create my background. I start by die cutting the stitched tree borders from black cardstock. I love how the trees without the stitched section are perfect trees for Halloween. Then I blend my background. I start with a panel of white cardstock cut slightly larger than an A2 panel. I temporarily adhere the circle from the nighttime sky stencil to the panel. Then I blend tumbled glass, blueprint sketch, chip sapphire, and black soot distress oxide ink around the stencil. I blend back and forth between the colors until I have a smooth blend. Then I remove the circle and cover the panel with the rest of the stencil. I start by lightly blending squeezed lemonade distress oxide ink around the edges of the circle. Then I place the detailed part of the stencil over the moon and add a little more squeezed lemonade with a slightly heavier hand. I remove the stencil and then splatter the panel with water to create lots of stars. While that panel is drying, I die cut lots of pieces from the Build-A-House and Build-A-House Halloween add-on die sets with 2 shades of gray cardstock, black craft, and vellum cardstock. I also freehand cut a piece of vellum that will fit behind my house to cover the windows. Off camera, I use a craft knife to cut a rough square where the window of my door will be. Then I blend a little black soot distress oxide ink over the house pieces and gathered twigs distress oxide ink over the wood planks to give the house a little texture and shading. I'm creating an interactive light-up card, but at this point, if you don't want to do that part, you could just adhere all the pieces together and adhere them to the card panel for a finished card. But I really like the surprise of the colorful lights. First, I place my black tree panel over my blended panel and figure out where I want to place my house. Then I use a pencil to trace the 3 openings for the windows onto the black panel and the blended panel. I use a craft knife to cut out the windows on the black panel. It doesn't have to be perfect because it will be covered by the house and window frames. Also, a little imperfection helps give the house a spooky, rundown feeling. Then I place the black panel over the blended panel and trace the two bottom windows onto the blended panel. I use a craft knife to cut out those windows as well. In hindsight, I realized I could have used the dies for the two windows, but not the door, so if you'd like to save yourself some work, you can use the dies instead of a craft knife for some of the openings. Next, I place the blended panel onto an A2 panel of white cardstock and trace the openings a third time. I will build our light up circuit on the white panel, so the traced openings will show me where to place the lights. Finally, I arrange the house, cat, and cauldron on my panel and decide where the cauldron sparkles will be. Then I die cut the outline of that image from the black and blended panels. After die cutting, you can see where the sparkles will lay on the finished card. Next, I adhere the black tree panel to the blended panel with HG adhesive. Then I adhere the vellum to the back of my house to cover the lights and windows. I build my house, adding in the window frame, stairs, door, and roof pieces. To up the spooky, I add the wood planks over the window and the spiderweb cut from vellum on the other window. I kept changing my mind, but off camera I did end up also adding the chimney. Once my house was complete, it was time to build my circuit panel for my LED stickers. I start by roughly tracing the sparkle outline onto the circuit panel. Now I have pencil outlines showing me where both windows, the door, and the sparkles will be. I adhere my house to the panel so that I can make sure that the windows and door line up with my openings. Next, I place my circuit panel in my scoring board and score a line at the bottom inch of the panel. I fold the panel along the score line and use my bone folder to crease the fold. Then I use a stencil to trace the outline of my triangle-shaped Chibitronics LED stickers in the center of each window to use as a guide. To create a simple circuit and light up a card, we need to use conductive fabric tape to connect a battery to the LED sticker in a loop. The positive side of the LED sticker needs to connect to the positive side of the battery, and the negative point of the sticker needs to connect to the negative side of the battery. This continuous loop is a simple circuit. Next, I use a pencil to trace out my circuit to use as a guide. I always like to do this first so that I can see any potential problems before I start adhering the conductive fabric tape. This is a more advanced circuit, and for this particular design, I'm starting by drawing a line from the negative point of each sticker outline to the score line at the bottom of the panel. It takes a little fussing, but I also add a third shape inside the sparkle section, making sure the triangle outlines and the lines don't overlap or touch each other. Next, I draw a line from the long edge of the sticker outline, which is the positive side of the sticker, to the top of the panel. In the sparkle section, I just connect two of the positive sides, since it's a little crowded down there. Then I trace a circle on the upper left side of my panel for my battery. I label my traced lines as positive or negative, just as a reminder for myself and a guide for you. Next, I draw a line running from underneath the battery, crossing my score line and running along the bottom fold of the panel. Finally, I draw a line starting on top of my battery and moving towards the top of the panel. Then I create a 90-degree turn and run it along the top of the panel, connecting to each positive line I've already drawn. You can see a clearer outline of my circuit here. All of the red lines show the positive side of the circuit, and the blue lines show the negative side. When you see a dashed blue line, that indicates that the tape will be underneath the battery in that spot. You can see that the bottom negative lines running from the LED sticker outlines do not touch the line running from the negative side of the battery. This is intentional and will make sense as we continue. Now it's time to apply my conductive fabric tape. I run it over all of the lines I've drawn, making sure it touches the negative point or positive edge of the sticker outline. If I reach a corner, I bend the tape back on itself in the opposite direction of where I want to go, and then fold it forward to get a nice sharp crease. You can also just cut the tape and start a new piece, as long as there's an overlap with the last piece. When I reach the battery, I add some ATG adhesive to the circle outline to help hold the battery in place first. Then I apply the piece of tape on the negative side, starting at the bottom of my panel and then turning to run up towards the top and cross over the battery outline. In that little sparkle area, I connect the positive sides of two of the stickers to complete my circuit, since I can't really fit another piece of tape between the two top stickers. I also trim the tape down to be smaller. I adhere my battery to the panel, making sure the positive side of the battery is facing up. Then I apply a small piece of tape connecting the leftmost LED sticker to the top of the battery. I also run a piece of tape along the top of the battery towards the top of the panel and connect it to each vertical line of tape. Then I add my LED stickers. I'm using 3 yellow lights for the house and pink, orange, and green lights for the cauldron sparkle. As I place the lights down on the panel, you'll see that the negative point of each sticker is touching the lower vertical lines, and the positive edge of each sticker is touching the top vertical lines that connect to the top positive side of the battery. Once I've adhered 3 lights, I test my circuit. When I fold along the score line, the piece of tape running from the battery touches the lower vertical lines and completes the circuit to light up the stickers. Both sides of the fabric tape are conductive and can be used to complete the circuit. As I run my finger back and forth and apply pressure, the various LED stickers light up. Here you can see another diagram of my circuit with the red lines representing the positive side of the circuit and the blue lines representing the negative side. Once I've added all my lights, I like to reinforce them by adding a little conductive fabric patch over the positive edge and negative point of each LED sticker. This isn't necessary, but helps ensure that the sticker won't move. I'm using specific conductive fabric patches here, but you can also just use leftover scraps of tape. Just make sure that those pieces don't cross any of the other lines or overlap with each other. And when we fold along the score line and press down, the tape running from the battery touches the tape running from the LED stickers, completing the circuit and lighting up the lights. This mechanism helps your battery last longer because it's only being engaged when you're pressing down on the card to light up the stickers. You can slide your fingers in any direction or put pressure on the fold in any order or amount, and the corresponding stickers will light up, creating a truly interactive light-up card. Now it's time to put it all together. First, I fold up along the score line and then place my card panel over the circuit panel, making sure the circuit panel is still folded along the score line. Then I run my fingers along the panel, testing the circuit, making sure everything still works as intended. This gives me the opportunity to troubleshoot if necessary. Everything looks great, so I'm ready to keep going. I apply strips of foam mounting tape all across my circuit panel, but make sure to keep it clear of the bottom folded area. I remove the adhesive backing, fold along the score line, and then adhere it to the card panel. Next, I add a few small pieces of foam mounting tape on top of the sparkle area without covering the lights. Then I add the stamped image on top, fitting it into the die cut area. You could use more vellum here, but the lights shine nicely through white cardstock and give it a different, softer look than the vellum windows and door. Then I adhere all of my colored images and my sentiment to the panel to create my scene. Next, I adhere the card panel to a top folding card base, adding a layer of foam tape along the bottom of the card panel to make up for the folded area. Finally, I add accents with a white gel pen and a little glitter pen to the spiderweb to finish the card. And here's the card with my desk lights lowered. It's a fun card all on its own, but when you push the card along the bottom, you'll start to see all of those stickers light up in the windows and cauldron. I know these products sometimes seem a little intimidating, but I'm hoping I've made them a little less so today. Please feel free to leave any questions in the comments and I'll be happy to try and answer them. And that's it! I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, I'd love for you to give it a thumbs up and leave a comment. Be sure to subscribe to the lawnfawn channel for even more crafty inspiration. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, have an amazing day and happy crafting. Bye!